Welcome, friends. Today, we are doing a tag video. Fresh. So, I've been tagged by Zhao from the channel Scented Moments, one of my favourite channels. He's a good lad. Hello, Zhao. And the tag he has started is 5 fragrances I love and 5 fragrances I hate. Now, I have managed to actually dig out 5 fragrances that I really, really hate. Although I might be being a little bit harsh on one of them, but the other 4 I definitely hate. And I have found 5 fragrances that I love, which was much easier. Now, these aren't the only 5 fragrances that I love, and these aren't the only 5 fragrances that I hate. There is a notable exception here from the hate ones, and that is Cooper Square by Bond No. 9, a bottle which I sold to my friend, which wasn't very friendly of me because it was shite. But apart from that, I've managed to dig out another 5 that I don't like that are still in my collection for some reason or another. I just haven't got round to getting rid of them, although one of them is in sample form, so I don't actually own it. But don't worry, I still hate it. Anyway, we will do what Zhao did and start with the loves. And these are just 5 loves that I have picked because they were quite easily accessible. I could do 5 completely other different fragrances that I love. These aren't my top 5 or anything like that. But I do love these fragrances. And first off, we will start with a house that I actually really enjoy. And I own 3 bottles of this, all different formulations. This is the latest formulation that I own. There are later formulations of this fragrance, and there's been a re-release which is completely different from what came before. Anyhow, and this is Loewe Poron. This has been re-released in a different bottle, and I think it smells differently as well. But this version of this fragrance is lemon and lavender. It's zesty, and it's got this fresh kind of laundry lavender dryer sheet. It's almost got that dryer sheet kind of thing. Do you know when you do like the washing or the drying, and the air that comes out is very dry? You know, of course it is. It's dryer. Of course it's dry, and you get that sort of starchy kind of feeling in your throat. This has got that. It's so good though. Oak moss in it as well in the base. Not particularly pronounced, but still it's there. This is very hard to find. You might have to try and resort to minis, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to find this now, certainly in this formulation, a really, really good quality fragrance. It's not just good; it's more than good. It's great. The older versions are better. Some of the best citrus perfume I've ever smelled in my life, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. The original Loewe Parahombra. Beautiful fragrance. But this is, I think this is a 2000s, maybe it's a late 90s bottle. Still got the Loewe shape. You know, they like this sort of barrel-y sort of shape. And still got the leather on the cap. Next, I will do another love. I'll just do all the loves first. This is Francesco Smalter Poron. You can tell how much I've worn of this, that I absolutely love it. It's a brilliant fragrance. It's got this licorice aniseed sort of top, and then it drives down through like a lavendery sort of mid to a smoky Italian leather. Beautiful fragrance with oak moss in it. This is seriously one of my favourites. This you could wear this year round. It's quite warm here today. I'm not sure how I would feel wearing this I mean, to be fair, you could. I mean, it's only like 25 Celsius here, so it's not like that hot. It's not like it was like a few weeks ago when it was like in the 40s. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. This is a quality designer fragrance. It was released in 1991, early 90s, maybe 93, 92, around that sort of mark. The bottle's really good. Again, Smalter, like Loewe, seems to like this kind of shaped bottle, you know. I've got a bottle of Smalter back there, but it would be a bit risky to pull it out at the minute. Same shape. Totally different fragrance though, but this is absolutely beautiful. They don't make like designers like this anymore, and it's probably a mixture of reasons that they don't. Style, times have changed, all that sort of thing. The availability of the ingredients has changed. But I've backed this up many times over, and I'm very glad I have. You're not going to smell like anyone else if you wear something like this, you know. A beautiful fragrance. Next, a fragrance which is no stranger to the channel recently. I'm almost certain you can tell what it's going to be. And this is Geranium Pour Monsieur. The smell of summer 22 for me. This is an absolutely amazing fragrance. I just lash this on with reckless abandon. You can't wear too much of this. The mint is thinned by the geranium. The geranium gives the mint this kind of, I don't want to say watery, but it does sort of water it down a bit so it doesn't get too thick and rich and sweet. Because if it was thicker and richer and sweeter, then it wouldn't be as easy to wear in the heat. This is a thing that I have with Montfresh. I really love Montfresh as well, but it's sweeter than Geranium Pour Monsieur. Oh, it's still really great. This could have been in the list, to be honest with you. But it is a little bit more. It is a little bit more dense and richer and thicker. Would you believe? Geranium Pour Monsieur. I am absolutely loving this at the minute. I can't get enough of it. I was gonna wear it today, and then I thought, no, save it until when it gets a bit hotter, and then you can just lavish it on yourself. I'll definitely be buying another bottle of this when this runs out, and it will run out because I use a lot of it at a time. I've only been using this summer. This is how much I love this fragrance. Absolutely beautiful. You can tell by the level. It's almost down to here. I would say I've used about 15, maybe 20 mil from a 100 ml bottle. Probably closer to 20. Absolutely loving it. Number 4. Number 4 was my scent of the day yesterday. And in a similar vein to Geranium Pour Monsieur, this is Escale en Haiti by Les Indomptables. I've got other Les Indomptables, any of which could have been in this list because they're all absolutely fantastic. It wasn't choosing what to pick, it was choosing what not to pick that was hard. Excuse me whilst I hydrate once again. This is Vetiver Juniper, what feels like ambergris musk. It's a beautiful cologne. It's actually a cologne absolute. Eau de cologne. Oh no, it's not. It's just an eau de cologne. It is at, what percentage are you at? It's not telling us here. Anyhow, it's very strong for what it is, but you can again, just like Geranium Pour Monsieur, it's strong enough so that it's not poor performance, but it's not so strong that you can't cover yourself in it and be really happy about it. You know, there is There is nothing to lose with this fragrance. There's no losers when you wear this. It smells really nice. The vetiver in it's really well done. It's not smoky. It's not thick. It's not tarry. It's not leaden. It's just an absolutely beautiful fragrance to throw on when it's bright and sunny and hot. It also works in humidity as well because of how thin it is. So that's something to bear in mind. And last, but by no means least whatsoever, this is Cartier's Roadster. Again, another fragrance I've used a lot of and talked a lot about. I love this. Mint, again, mint. Bergamot and mint at the top, giving like a crunchy apple kind of vibe. Like a really green, crunchy apple. I don't think it's meant to be like that, but it is like that. And then it's got this patchouli in the base, which gives off this almost sort of chocolatey vibe, which somehow works like with the bergamot and the mint at the top. It's almost got a foodie kind of. It's not a gourmand by any means, but sort of gives off that kind of impression, you know? Absolutely stunning. I love this. This is a designer fragrance, you know? I mean, 3 out of those 5 were designers. None released in the last 10 years. They don't make designer fragrances like this anymore, in the same way they don't make designer fragrances like Smalter Poron, you know? So, they are the 5 fragrances that I love. Or 5 of the fragrances that I love. Now we go to 5 fragrances that I hate, and I hate these all for different reasons. We'll start with this one. This is Bois 1920 Real Patchouli Eau de Parfum. This is a reformulation. God knows how I hate reformulations. I fell in love with the original Eau de Toilette. It was, and still is, one of the best patchoulis that I own. The original. I bought this thinking I was getting the Eau de Toilette. It came in an Eau de Toilette box. It was missold. Bois 1920 didn't want to take any responsibility since it was sold through a third party, as in through Amazon. I'd say it wasn't tampered with, you know. My opinion, the box wasn't tampered with. It was just Bois 1920 putting new bottles into old boxes, and it's not the first I'd heard of it. There were other people on eBay who had similar issues. But enough of that. This is an absolute travesty of a reformulation. The patchouli is just of a lower quality. It's not as thick. It's not as creamy. It's not as resinous. It's not as gloopy. That's what I want from my patchoulis. I want something dark and dense, and it was everything. It was everything that this perfume used to be. Everything I wanted in a patchouli. And now it's not. And this is one reason I hate this fragrance, the Eau de Parfum. I feel like I have been robbed. You know? I feel like something has been taken from me. This is why I back up bottles as much as I can. You know? I really, really hate what has happened to this fragrance and what I feel like's been taken from us, you know? But I still have it. I haven't managed to get rid of it yet. I haven't tried to get rid of it, to be honest with you, but anyway, next we only have this in a sample form because I wouldn't even buy this by mistake. You know what I mean? And this is Sauvage, the Eau de Toilette, even though all the others are rotters as well. This is particularly awful. The original Sauvage, I hated it when it came out. I hate it still. It is vile. You do smell it everywhere. And you see the adverts everywhere. And the metallic, I don't like metallic notes. I don't like that sharp, cold, lifeless, metallic vibe that it gives off. I don't get grapefruit from this. People say it's got grapefruit, like a lovely grapefruit in the opening, and it just doesn't. It's got a horrible bergamot, and then it's got these synthetics, which I really dislike as well. That other people seem to enjoy, you know. It feels like it's been focus grouped to death. And whoever they were asking has let the side down because this has become ubiquitous everywhere now. It's an everyman, everywhere fragrance all the time. It has become like what Acqua di Gio is, but just not as good as Acqua di Gio. Aventus, people who buy Aventus seem to think they're onto something that other people aren't. People who buy Sauvage don't care that they're not onto something that other people aren't. They just want to smell like their friends, you know? This is the antithesis of what I like in fragrances. If I liked the smell, I would like the smell, but I don't like the smell either. It's also what it represents. So that is Sauvage by Dior. Not to be mistaken with Eau Sauvage, but I've got to be honest with you. I don't hate this, but I don't love it either. Why they've got two fragrances with Sauvage in the name is just confusing. They could have called it anything, but they called it that. Next we have a strange one. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the channel before, but it is a vintage Maître Parfumier Gantier. I only have a little bit because I bought a partial. And this is called, can you see that? Root de Vetiver. This is black. This is black tar vetiver. Do you know when I was talking about the Scallon Haiti earlier? This is like the opposite of it. It's got this, literally it smells like road tar. It's incredibly dark and thick and black and gloopy. And it's got this kind of worked vibe to it. You know, like, you know when they're laying roads and you can smell the tar and the industrial processes. That's what this smells like to me. Other people might absolutely love it, and fair play to them. But there is no way. There's no way. I've worn this on skin and it didn't get any better. It's a rotter for me. I don't know why you would want to smell like that. I've got plenty of other fragrances where people would ask, why would you want to smell like that? But this one is the distillation of that for me, you know? It's down to its bare essence. This is like, if I smelled somebody wearing this, I'd be like, whoa, have you been working on the roads? You know? Are you okay? It's not for me. I don't know what happened to the lid either. But somebody, it looks like somebody's dog's been chewing on it. But it's such a cheap, nasty lid as well. I mean, the bottle's not great. The bottle's great, sorry, but the lid's horrific. So yes, like a dark black. It's not like Amen, which had that tar sort of note in it because it was offset by all the sweetness and the patchouli and the coffee and the vanilla and the lavender and everything like that. This doesn't have that. This is like a green tar, you know, but a very dark green, like a black green, you know. Nasty, nasty stuff. Next, a surprise entry. You're going to be very surprised. I'm surprised I don't like this, but I don't like this. I thought when I bought a vintage bottle of this that the vintage bottle would change my mind. Because I smelled the original, I was like, oh, it smells like a sock. And Richie J already knows what I'm gonna pull out here. But I got the Cosmere version of this and just can't get with it, can't deal with it, don't like it. This is a tester I bought, and it is the famous Draco Noir. I can hear the screams right now from people going, what the hell, this is a vintage classic, like this is right up your street, you should love this, what the hell. But I don't. This smells like a bad sock, you know, like a bad foot in a clean sock. It's got this, it's also got like a papery kind of vibe for me. Let's spray a cup of the things I do for your entertainment. It's got this freshness. It's got this kind of like fresh white sock kind of vibe, but then just it's got this stale kind of awfulness in there as well, you know. It's like a toxic foot in a clean sock, you know. Very musty as well. It's got this kind of must about it. It's wow, it's not great. And I instantly, Richie G's tried to catch me out with this all the time, like giving us like a spray every once in a while. Or he once sent us the note breakdown. He was like, he was like, you seen this? Can you guess what fragrance this is? You like love this, don't you? And I'm like, no, it's Draco Noir, mate. And he's like, he keeps trying to catch us out, thinking that I'd love it, but it's not. I just don't like it, you know. I'm not trying to be clever or contraire or anything like that, but it's just got this awfulness to it that I really can't bear. So there we are. That was number 4 on 5 fragrances I hate. And number 5, last but not least, certainly not least, I probably hate this more than the other 4. And it really is quite terrible. It was a darling of the community for a while, a very short while. And it's a perfumer's own brand, which is just a red flag right away, because all the perfumers are releasing their own brands, trying to copy Coeur de Jean and get their hands on some of that money, and then sell the brand to like an LVMH or an Estee Lauder to try and rake in a lot of money, you know. You can't blame them for trying to make money, but surely there has to be a better way than the shit that some of them have released. Mise as a write-off. None of those are good. But this isn't one of those. This is, God rest his soul, and I hate to speak ill of the dead, this is number 5 by Rosendo Mathieu. This is a cash grab. The whole brand's a cash grab. Rosendo Mathieu is someone who in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even in the early 2000s, made some absolutely brilliant fragrances. I'm sure he's got his note. I'm sure he's got like his name to Quorum, which is an amazing fragrance, one I love. You know, oak moss, like you've never known it. It's essentially just an oak moss soliflor. But this couldn't be further away from that. This couldn't be further away from the type of perfume that brought Rosendo Mathieu to the dance. This is absolutely fucking rotten to the core. It is a massive overdose of all the synthetics that absolutely drive me fucking sick. It is so strong. So it's at 77% volume. So what's that? 23%. It's an eau de parfum, is it? Yes, it's an eau de parfum. And it is sweet. It has this. There's not a natural chemical in here. I would go so far as to say, it's overly sweet. It's overly powerful. This is the ultimate bro clubbing fragrance. Seriously, if you want to blow other people away in the club, wear this. It's louder than like vintage Lamal. And that shit was awful as well. I could have had Lamal in here, but I haven't got anything to like show you. This is only some of the stuff that I've actually still got. I feel a bit harsh on Draco Noir because I can imagine one day my feelings changing about it. But this, it makes a sick. It's the type of thing that gives you a headache. Like, I haven't smelled it for so long, and I thought just before this video, maybe my opinion will have changed. And absolutely fucking not. It is shocking. It's a late teens, early 20s absolute dream, this fragrance. It's dumbed down. It's easy, it's loud, it's sweet. It's everything you don't want a fragrance to be. And I paid fucking retail for this, right? And I swear on my life this is true. I paid well over 150 quid for this, including shipping, right? When everyone was like bigging it up. And I was in my local department store the other day, and I saw a bottle of this on the shelf, the clearance aisle shelf, for £25. £25. I think the brand's going to close. I think this was a cash grab. Maybe Rosendo Mature. I don't know the circumstances around his death, so I am speculating, but maybe he had cancer or like he had some illness that he knew was going to take him within a certain amount of time, so he set up a brand to make as much money as he possibly could quickly. I don't want to, I shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but it does feel like this was a cash grab. Everything about it's cheap. Everything about it's nasty. And he's traded on his reputation at the end of his life to sell these, and they're really, really bad. The whole brand is absolutely awful. Overdoses of synthetic musks, synthetic florals, synthetic sweetness. It's vile. It really is very, very bad. There's no development. It feels like there's been no skill involved in it. It's just a sweet bomb. And I did save the worst till last. So that's all I'll say. Like I said, I don't particularly enjoy shitting on someone who has died in the last 6 months, year or something. I'm sure he was a lovely person. But this is not a lovely perfume. Anyhow, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I appreciate it greatly. I won't tag anyone. If you want to do this video, if you're watching this video and you want to do it, it's a fun little idea. Thank you, Zhao. I believe Ramsey's going to do a version of this video in the coming hours or days. So I look forward to that. And I will see you all again soon. Thank you.